So, Jem, I know in a way you've been waiting for years for this conference because it's been rudely interrupted by global events, not least of which COVID. And I wonder what's the difference that you are hoping the conference will make, and how is the conference different because you've had to wait during COVID?
I think the difference I'd really like to see it make is that by building a stronger network in higher education chaplaincy globally, where we can find peaceful places like at a conference, we build a network in peaceful dialogue, and that builds peace, not just between us, but it helps us learn better how to build peace in the settings where we're working, because we understand belief, no belief in religion ourselves all the more for having met together and learnt how other chaplaincies are working. And where we build peace, we're helping to mitigate against all types of conflict at the macro and the micro level, at the interpersonal and even at the international level, because we will be ready with more things to respond by in peaceful means and in peaceful ways, knowing that we're working in solidarity with other chaplaincies. So that seems to be my greatest desired outcome out of anything for the conference, is to build peace when there's chance in the peaceful spaces we can find. And we created this as a desired outcome for quite a while, even before we saw what had been going on closer to home for those of us in Europe. But we were already looking in Africa and in the Middle East and in Afghanistan and in other war-torn places of the world, and said, we need to do this for the sake of the global community. And
Jem, I'm also really struck by this language that Sheffield University is using around chaplaincy as a space of belief, non-belief and religion. And I wonder if you could just say a bit more about how you've arrived at that particular way of describing yourselves.
Yeah, I think that one thing that I noticed was that at least in Britain, we talk about religion or belief as a characteristic of the self. And so I wondered about why it was always that alphabetical way round. And then I noticed that whenever we talk of religion or belief, we also talk about no belief, and that we mustn't discriminate against people for not having a belief either. So I said, let's line them up alphabetically and see what it looks like. Belief, the B, no belief, the N, and religion, the R, and put it in that order for a change. Now, I'm religious, I'm a Christian priest, so I'm comfortable to try that and see how that might help include others and describe chaplaincy better, so that people understand that we are offering something that may be useful to them, whatever their identity. But more than that, I think many people straddle those three topic areas in their own self. I think of my grandfather. He ran away from a Jewish community in Singapore to become a communist atheist Jew living in Australia. And I think he had both a belief, a no belief, and a religion identity all at once and at different levels through his life. And all of those were important and valid for him. But I think for each of us, sometimes parts of our identity are to do with all those three things. And for those born to say, I don't know, a Muslim father and a Christian mother, or a Sikh mother and a Hindu father, or any other sorts of combinations, an atheist parent and another belief parent, we become intrasectional in our identities. So let's talk about everything and realize that we straddle these things in a rainbow kind of way.
And that's a beautiful and challenging description, I think, Jem. And I put a challenge back, which is to think about adding in non-religion as well, because there are beliefs that are non-religious but aren't no belief. So
yeah,
the danger is that your chaplaincy ends up with an extremely long title. But I wish the conference well. I think it's wonderful to have it underway and to bring people together both in person and digitally. And at last, after a long gap in which we've had for the first time in a long time, a common experience around the world, actually, at least on one thing, and not necessarily in a good way.
And it seems that's a reason why people are all the more eager to come now to Sheffield. And because it's my home city and everything, it just feels very exciting. So We know you couldn't join us in Sheffield this time, but we know that you will be taking a look at what we've done and giving us some kind of comment back further down the line. So thank you very much for your attentiveness to what's going on here at the Global Conference.
My pleasure.